Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Crazy Hat Chemist. And this is the place where you come, absolutely, the place that you come to learn correct, real chemistry to give you the proper foundation for continuing on into college. So here we go. In fact, actually, my AP chemistry and honors chemistry courses and videos associated with those would give you a good representation of some college classes as well, depending on what college or university you're talking about. So again, this is the Crazy Hat Chemist, as you can see right here, and this is the second video of two on ionic bonds worksheet number 5. So this is ionic bonds worksheet number 5. I've done the front side already, gone from the name to the formula with all of these. There's a bunch on here. Now I'm going to flip this over and we're going to do the back side. So here we go. Here is the back side. And on the backside, what are we looking to do? Well, we have a name, and what do we want? We want the formula from that name. So we're going to be doing the reverse of what we did yesterday, or the day before, whatever you call that. And then that is what we're going to do. So let's get moving on this. Alrighty, so here we go. So this first one is Li and an I. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what number is down below here and what number is down below there. And I'm going to highlight that here for you just so that you see that. That is a number and that is a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the reverse and the opposite of what we have done. This is a 1. This is a 1 because it's assumed. We're going to take the bull by the horns this time, flip the numbers and bring them up. Now remember, when we were doing the opposite, we were taking the bull by the horns of the top numbers, flipping those numbers and dropping them down. We're going to be doing exactly the opposite this time. We're going to be taking those two numbers, the 1 here right after the Li, the 1 right here after the I, flip those numbers and pull them up. So this 1 is going to come up here, this 1 is going to come up here. So what does that get me exactly? Well, that gets me an Li with a 1 and an I with a 1. All right. So now, one of the rules that we have learned is that cations come first, anions come second. So that means that the positively charged thing is first, the negatively charged thing is second. All right. Hopefully that works. All right. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to figure out, well, how do I find these elements? So here is how we're going to find them. We're going to look in the 1 plus category, the cationic charge, and we're going to look in the 1 minus category to find that anionic charge on these two elements. So if you have my sheet of paper of charges on ions and oxidation numbers, you should see that Li 1 plus is right here, and the name of that is lithium. That's perfect. So I'm going to write that down as the first element, okay, and that would be lithium. And oh yeah, spelling does matter. It works. It's very important. That is necessary. All righty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the second element, which is an anion. It is negatively charged. It is negatively 1 charge. So where will I find it? I will find it in the anion category. So let's look at our ion sheet. And we're looking in the 1 minus category. And right here, here it is. It's an I with a 1 minus. That is iodide. Look at the ending of that. It's an IDE ending. That's iodide. So iodide, lithium iodide. That's the name of LII. All right, so let's do the next one here. This number right here, I'm going to circle. I'm also going to highlight it. Okay, and that number right there, I'm going to highlight. There is a number here. It's an assumed number. That is a 1. So I'm going to highlight that number as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bull by the horns. We're going to flip these two numbers and bring them up. And then that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a K with a 1 and O with a 2. Remember, cations come first, anions come second. So I got a K with a 1 plus and an O with a 2 minus. I'm going to highlight these two numbers and their charges, and I'm going to see if I can find them on my ion sheet. And here we go. Let's see if we can find them on the ion sheet. All right, so I'm going to find K. It's in the 1 plus category on my ion sheet. Here it is. There is K, 1 plus on the cation sheet, 1 plus, and it is potassium. So I'm going to write that name down, potassium. Potassium, Potassium, and then I'm going to find O, and that's in the 2 minus category. So let's see if we can hunt that down. That should be in the 2 minus category. There's an O with a 2 minus, and that name is oxide. Again, an IDE ending because it is a non-metal. So I'm going to write the word oxide. OXIDE. So the name of this K2O is potassium oxide. So I'm going to do one more thing here. I've been using the periodic table on the front of this worksheet frequently, and so we're going to take advantage of the periodic table as well on the back of this worksheet. So you should understand that lithium, on the lithium, and the Li is going to be a 1 plus. That's a periodic trend. And then the iodide is right over here, and that is an I. Where is it? Here we go. There's an I, and it is a 1 minus. That's for the lithium iodide. For the potassium oxide, potassium is also in group 1. It's a metal, group 1 metal, an alkali metal. And that's why it has a 1 plus charge. And the oxide is right here, and it is an O of a 2 minus charge. So you can also use the periodic table in addition to the sheet of paper that I have for the ions and charges. Either one will actually do perfectly fine. All right, let's go for the next one. That's BAI2. So there's a number that's right here, and there is a number right here. So I'm going to highlight those two numbers. This number that is actually not there, that's assumed, is a 1. This number here is a 2. So I'm going to flip these two numbers. This number is going to come up and over. This one's going to come up and over. So I'm going to have a BA with a 2 and an I with a 1. Remember, cations come first, anions come second. This will enable me to look for in the 2 plus category, that BA, and in the 1 minus category, that I. So here we go. In the 2 plus category, let's see if we can find that. There's the 2 plus category. We have a BA that's a 2 plus, and the name of that is barium. All right, so I'm going to write that word down, barium. Barium, barium. And then the next one, we've actually already done this here on the first problem, but it's an I with a 1 minus. So what are we going to do? We're going to look in the 1 minus category, and that is right here. Here is the 1 minus category. That's an I with a 1 minus. That's iodide. I'm going to write that down, iodide, IODIDE. So the name of this compound, BAI2, is barium iodide. All right, hopefully that is okay for you. All right, let's keep on going. We're going to do the next problem here, and that next problem is a Ba3P2. So I'm going to take this 3 and this 2. I'm going to highlight those two numbers here. I'm going to highlight that 3, highlight that 2, and I'm going to take the bull by the horns, flip these numbers, and bring them up. So I'm going to have a Ba with a 2 and a P with a 3. Remember, cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to look on my sheet of paper. I'm going to look in the 2 plus category. That's the 2 plus category. That's that Ba for barium. So I'm going to write down barium. Barium. And then I'm going to look in the 3 minus category, And in the 3 minus category, I have a P with a 3 minus that is called phosphide. Phosphide. So I'm going to write that down. Phospphide, phosphide. Now, again, the barium iodide, I could have obtained the barium from my periodic table. And there's the barium. It is a 2 plus charge. And then we have already discussed the iodide. The iodide is right here, and that's a 1 minus charge. The barium phosphide, well, of course, we just did barium. That is a barium, and that's a 2 plus. The phosphide is right here, and that is a P. That is a 3 minus. Okay, so hopefully that works well for you. That means that you're going to be using the periodic table and you're going to be using my ion sheet in both of those together. All right, the next one over here is CUI2, and there is a number here, there is a number here. This number is assumed, this first number, that's going to be a 1. This number is actually there, that is a 2. And so I'm going to take this number, flip, and bring it up. This number, flip, and bring it up. I'm going to have a Cu with a 2. I'm going to have an I with a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to highlight that cation. I'm going to highlight that anion. Okay, and that's what I have done for every single one of these here. Right? All right, so I'm going to find Cu and an I. Well, I already know what the I is. I've used that actually twice already on this side. It's iodide, iodide. So we don't need to do that again. But this Cu with a 2 plus. So I'm going to look in the 2 plus category for that. I'm going to look in the 2 plus category, and I do not see a Cu. I find a Cd and a Ca, but not a Cu. I'm going to look on my periodic table, and in the 2 plus column, I do not see a Cu at all. So it's not there. Where is it? Well, it is actually right here, and it is copper. So there it is as copper. So that means it's a transition metal cation. So it's a transition metal. So I need to be looking in the transition metal section. That's in the middle section of my sheet of paper here in the transition metal cations. I'm looking for a Cu that's a 2 plus charge. And here is a Cu that's a 2 plus charge. The name of that, the corresponding name, the systematic name is copper Roman numeral 2. The common name is cupric. So I can have two different names of this. It's copper Roman numeral 2 iodide or cupric iodide. So let's see if we can write that down. Copper Roman numeral 2 and iodide, or cupric iodide. Just enough space to write that. Perfect. All right, let's see if we can hammer out this next one. There is a number here, there is a number there. Those numbers are actually going to be ones because they're not written down. So that means that I'm going to flip that number, bring it up, flip that number, bring it up. I'm going to have a Cu and a 1. I'm going to have an I and a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. I got my anion here of a -1. I've got my cation of a +1. Again, if you didn't have that previous problem, what would you be doing? You would be looking in this 1 plus category, looking for Cu that's a 1 plus, and there is no Cu. And so then you go off into looking at the transition metal cations. And you can see that the transition metal cation Cu1 plus is corresponding to copper Roman numeral 1, which corresponds to cupris. So the systematic name is copper Roman numeral 1. The common name is cupris. So we're going to write both of those down. And the second one is iodide. So copper Roman numeral 1 iodide, or alternatively, cupris iodide. Notice that there's a small difference, but very important difference between the two right here. And that is we have the Roman numeral, or we have the ic and the OUS. And if you haven't yet discovered this already, the ic is for the higher charge, the OUS is for the lower charge. Ic does not mean Roman numeral 2, and OUS does not mean Roman numeral 1. Okay. All right, I'm going to slide this sheet of paper up just a little bit so that we can continue on these problems here. So sliding this up just a little bit so we got some more here that we can do. All right, so now this one here, there's a number here, there's a number here. I'm going to highlight those two numbers. That is that number, that is that number, which are actually ones in this case. I'm going to bring this up, flip that, take the bull by the horn, flip, bring it up. I get an MN with a 1, and I get an O with a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. Okay. Now, I can look for MN in the 1 plus category, and do I find it in the 1 plus category? I do not find it, okay? I do find it over here in the transition metals, and I find an MN that's a 2 and an MN that's a 3, but there is no MN that's a 1. So now I need to go backwards just a little bit and then look for O in the 1 minus category. Well, in the 1 minus category, I cannot find O, but in the 2 minus category, I can find the O, and it is a 2 minus that is oxide. So it must be a 2 minus. So that means that this plus and this minus don't belong there. It's actually, this O is a 2 minus. In order to maintain this one-to-one relationship, that means, and if this is a 2, that means is this MN must be a 2 plus. So now I know where to find that MN. It's a 2 plus. Is there an MN that's a 2 plus? Most certainly there is. That is manganese, Roman numeral 2, or manganese. Okay, so it's going to be manganese. Manganese, Roman numeral 2. Okay, or manganese. Okay, and then oxide. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for you. All right. And that should work really nicely for this one here. You should see that if you were to take the bull by the horn, flip, bring it down, then those would reduce to ones. And so you can always go backwards and try it again and see how that works for you. All right, good. All right, so let's continue. We're going to do this next one here. And so we're going to circle this 2 right here. We're going to circle this 3 right there. I'm going to highlight those 2 numbers. I'm going to take the bull by the horn, flip, bring it up, flip, bring it up. What do I get? MN with a 3 and an O with a 2. Cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to highlight this cation of a 3 plus charge. I'm going to highlight this anion of a 2 minus charge. Okay, and you should see that that O with a 2 minus corresponds to O that's a 2 minus. That is most certainly an oxide. Now I just need to find the MN that's a 3 plus. I already found the other MN. And the MN that's a 3 plus is right here. That corresponds to manganese Roman numeral 3 or manganic. And so I'm going to write those down. So I'm going to have manganese, MANGANESE, Roman numeral 3 this time, or manganic, MANGANIC, and it is oxide. So the name is manganese 3 oxide or manganic oxide. All right. Don't forget about the oxide at the end. There's 2 parts to each of these names. So, that shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully you're getting the pattern on that one. Let's slide this on up just a little bit more so we can continue on. All right. On our little journey. So this next one is AgOH. And so what you need to be able to do is understand that there's a cation, there's an anion, there's a number here, and there's a parentheses and a number outside that parentheses. I'm going to bring that number up, bring that number up. I'm going to have an Ag with a 1 and an OH with a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. Hopefully you're understanding the patterns of which we are following here on this. Okay. And now what we need to do is name this. So we need to find Ag that's a 1 plus. So the Ag that's a 1 plus, I'm going to look in the 1 plus category. And where do I find Ag? It's most certainly there. That corresponds to silver. So I'm going to write down the word silver. So Ag1 plus is silver, SILVER. And then OH, that is hopefully obviously a polyatomic ion. if you looked at the previous videos, that is two capital letters together gives me a polyatomic ion. So when I'm in the polyatomic ion category, there's an OH that's a 1 minus. What's the name? That is hydroxide. So I'm going to write down the name hydroxide. Hydroxide. That's hydroxide. All right, fantastic. Let's move to the next problem here. That is an Na and a CO3. I'm going to circle this number here, bring it up and bring it up. So watch very carefully here because I'm going to make a purposeful mistake if you are not really truly paying attention or know what you're doing. So you're going to get Na that's a 3 and a CO that's a 2. Cations come first, anions come second. Okay, so I'm going to try to find the Na that's a 3 plus. So I'm looking in the 3 plus category right here, 3 plus category. Do I find Na? No, I do not. All right, so that doesn't work. That's not good. So then I'm going to look for a CO. That's a polyatomic ion. It's in the 2 minus category. And in the 2 minus category right here, do I find just a CO? I do not. That is a problem. So none of these work. That means that something went wrong in flipping these numbers up. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can find an Na. And Na is either on the periodic table, and that is right here as sodium. It is a 1 plus charge. Let's just verify that. That should be in the 1 plus charge category. Na is a 1 plus charge. So that means that what we're going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of eraser marks here. So we're going to erase this stuff here that we have done. I'm going to erase this because this is incorrect right here on this particular problem. Okay, because you can't find it. It's not there. It doesn't work. Okay. So what needs to come up is a 1 for the sodium. So that means that this is a polyatomic ion with parentheses around it. There's a 1. I'm going to circle that number. It's going to come up. This 2 is going to come up. So I'm going to highlight these two numbers. That 2 and this 1 are going to be the numbers that come up and flip up. So that's an Na with a 1 plus and a CO3 with a 2 minus. Now, Na needs to be a 1 plus. It's in group 1. It's a alkali metal. And CO3 is a polyatomic ion, and it is a 2 minus. So let's see if we can find both of those. So going back over here, again, we have Na that's 1 plus. That is sodium. So I'm going to be able to write that down. Sodium, Sodium. And then I'm going to find CO3 in the 2 minus category. Remember, we are looking at these in their categories in which we can find them. Okay, and there we go. So I'm going to look in that 2 minus category, and what do I have in the 2 minus category? I have a CO3 that's a 2 minus. The name of that is carbonate. So this is sodium carbonate, Carbonate, sodium carbonate. You should see that that parentheses is no longer there because that number is a 1, just like what happened on the previous one with the parentheses and the hydroxide. The parentheses is actually not there because the number is a 1. We don't write 1s. We don't write the parentheses. And hopefully that worked out okay for you, actually, for the front side of this worksheet as well. So we're going to take advantage of that same concept here. This CU, I'm going to highlight, and that is a 2, and that number is going to come up as a 2. And then I'm going to take advantage of what I have just learned for the hydroxide and the carbonate, respectively, with parentheses and 1s. That means this SO4 actually has parentheses around it, and the number is a 1. I'm just going to put the number there because remember, 1s get reduced and you don't write 1s. So that means that this 1 is going to come up. So I'm going to have a Cu and a 1. I'm going to have an SO4 and a 2. Cations come first, anions come second. So there's my cation, and here is my anion. We've already worked with Cu before, and so hopefully we can work with that again. It's a Cu that's a 1 plus. Excuse me. So that's a Cu, that's a 1 plus. That is called copper Roman numeral 1 or cuprous. So we're going to write copper, Roman numeral 1, or cuprous. And then we need to find this polyatomic ion, SO4. It's in the 2 minus category. So in the 2 minus category, there's SO4. It's a 2 minus. That corresponds to sulfate. So here we go. Sulfate, SULFATE. So it's going to be copper, Roman numeral 1 sulfate, or cuprous cuprous sulfate. Perfect. Let's slide this up just a little bit more so we can get a few more of these problems in. And here we go. We're going to keep on going. So this next one right here, there is a number here, and that is a 1. I'm going to highlight that just so that you can see that. So there's a number that's a 1 right there, and there's already a number that's a 2 right there. So that's fortuitous. So we're going to take this number, bring it up. That's a 1. We're going to take this number, bring it up. That is a 2. So I'm going to get Ca2. And then I'm going to get NO3, and that's a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. Hopefully you're understanding the pattern of which we are following right now. That's a cation. And this right here is the anion. That's a polyatomic anion. I'm going to look in the 2 plus category, and I'm going to look for Ca. And here is my 2 plus category. There's my Ca, and that corresponds to calcium. So I'm going to write down the word calcium, Calcium. That's calcium. Then I'm going to look in the 1 minus category of the anions that are polyatomic. So there's a lot of anions that are polyatomic, and I'm going to look for the NO3. And here is the NO3. That corresponds to nitrate. And we're going to write down the word nitrate. Nitrate, nitrate. Okay, everybody good on that so far? I think so. I don't see any hands raised, so I think we can keep on going. All right, so the next one here, I got a number right here, and I got a number right here. I'm going to highlight those two numbers. This is a 2, that is a 3. Okay, I'm going to take the bull by the horn, flip, bring it up, flip, bring it up. I'm going to get Al and A3, and then I'm going to get SO3 and A2. Cations come first, anions come second. Let's highlight those numbers so we know what we're looking for on our ion sheet. Okay, and there are those numbers. And Al is in the 3 plus category. So I'm going to look in the 3 plus category, 3 plus category. There's Al that's a 3 plus. That corresponds to aluminum. So I have aluminum, Aluminum, or aluminium if you're from the UK. And then it's SO3 with a 2 minus. So I'm going to look in the 2 minus category of polyatomic ions. That's an SO3. That's a 2 minus. That corresponds to sulfite. So that is sulfite, SULFITE. All right, sulfite. So that's aluminum sulfite. All right, so the next one here is NH4Cl. Okay, so the question is, do I draw the line here or do I draw the line here to separate the cation and anion? And hopefully you understand that we do draw the line right there. That means we're going to put a parentheses around this and a 1, and then this is a 1. So I'm going to circle these two numbers that are 1s. I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to take the bull by the horns, flip, bring it up. Those two numbers come on up. So I'm going to have NH4, a 1, a Cl, a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. Really simple here, folks. I got a 1 plus and a 1 minus. Now, this NH4 is a polyatomic ion. It's the only polyatomic cation there is. And I highlighted that last time with the front side of this, and that is NH4 1 plus. That corresponds to ammonium. So the name of this NH4 1 plus is ammonium, AMMONIUM. Okay, and then Cl is a 1 minus. I'm going to look in the 1 minus category, see if I can find that Cl. Cl 1 minus, it's in the 1 minus category. That corresponds to chloride, CHLORIDE. So this is ammonium chloride. All right. We've got three more to do. Hang on, don't go away. Keep on working. Don't stop. There's a number right here. That's a 2. There's a number right here. That's an imaginary 1. I'm going to highlight those two numbers. I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to flip this number, bring it up, flip this number, bring it up. I'm going to get NH4 with a 1, and I'm going to get an S with a 2. Cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to highlight that right over here. That's a 1 plus right there. And then I'm going to highlight this. This is a 2 minus right there. Well, we already found NH4 1 plus already before. We're just going to find it again. It is a polyatomic cation. It is the only polyatomic cation. The name of that is ammonium. So I'm going to write ammonium, AMMONIUM. And then I'm going to look in the 2 minus category of a monoatomic. I'm going to look in the 2 minus category of a monoatomic. That's S with a 2 minus. That's called sulfide, SULFIDE. Notice that the two previous ones that we had, the chloride and the sulfide, we should have been able to find those on the periodic table. And the chloride would be right here. That is a 1 minus. The sulfide would be right here. That's a 2 minus. So we should have been able to find the chloride and the sulfide. Remember, when they are nonmetals, they have an IDE ending on them, like fluorine becomes fluoride, chlorine becomes chloride, oxygen becomes oxide, nitrogen becomes nitride, phosphorus becomes phosphide, etc. And you should see that pattern with all of these. They have an IDE ending to them, and they are monoatomic anions. Okay. All right, let's do the next one right over here. There's a number right there. I'm going to highlight that. And then hopefully, maybe not, but hopefully, obviously, this is a polyatomic ion with a 1. I'm going to circle that. I put the parentheses around it because around every polyatomic ion is actually a parentheses. It's not necessarily written. So I have NH4 with a 1, and I have C2O4 with a 2. Cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to highlight that cationic charge. I'm going to highlight that anionic charge. And I'm going to look and find in the 1 plus category of a polyatomic ion. And lo and behold, we have done this already before. NH4, that is ammonium. I'm going to write that down. Ammonium, AMMONIUM. And then I'm going to find C2O4. Where is C2O4? It's in the 2 minus category of a polyatomic ion. So I'm honing in this 2 minus category of a polyatomic ions. I'm going to find C2O4. That corresponds to oxalate. Oxalate. So OXALATE. Don't be up too late with your oxalates. All right, next one. I have two, and I'm hoping that you see 2 polyatomic ions right here. There's a parentheses here and a 1, a parentheses here and a 1. I'm going to circle both these numbers. I'm going to highlight those 2 1s right there. I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I'm going to flip and bring those numbers up. That number comes here. That number comes here. I'm going to write NH4 and a 1. I'm going to write a C and an N and a 1. Cations come first, anions come second. I'm going to highlight that cationic charge. I'm going to highlight that anionic charge. Notice that I've stayed with the yellow and the green. The yellow is the cation. The green is the anionic charges. I've stayed with that this whole entire time. Okay. So we're going to find NH4, and we have found that before, and that is NH4. That is ammonium ion. So that's ammonium, AMMONIUM. And then CN, that is in the 1 minus category. And let's see, where can we find CN 1 minus category? That corresponds to none other than cyanide. So let's write that down. CYANIDE. Very toxic anion. All right, so I am hoping that you enjoyed that. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist, and that's the second half of this video here. if you need the ion sheet, if you are looking for this ion sheet, then by all means, shoot me a email in the comment section, and I will send you a PDF version of this. I made it myself. I've composed this over like 27 years of teaching here. So you can find all these here. And if you need it, shoot me an email in the comment section. I'll send it to you. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time for more awesome videos on the Crazy Hat Chemist. And I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.